Coach, what are your thoughts on the job Coach Buzz Williams has done at Texas A&M and what they do well this season?
Well, Buzz is one of those special coaches that's won everywhere he's been. I first started knowing Buzz when he was a young guy, and when I was at Oklahoma. And then, the job he did at Marquette, Virginia Tech, and now A&M doesn't surprise me. Buzz is a hard worker. Cares about his players. Players love playing for him. There's a great system that's based on playing hard, toughness, rebounding. He knows how to get his he just knows how to get his kids to play the right way. Their team is SEC Player of the Year, preseason Player of the Year. Wade Taylor is kind of their guy, but they have a lot of guys would be guys on other teams. Radford has been hurt. His first game back was against Memphis. I don't think he was at full speed, or you can tell he was not comfortable yet. We expect him to be 100% against us. They got a couple guys that just really good at what they do. Henry Coleman, they love hitting him on those short rolls. He's a problem when he gets the ball anywhere around the free throw line. They have two guys that come off the three guys, actually four guys that come off the bench and automatically change the game as soon as they get in there. I absolutely love Andy Garcia. He's the closest guy we've had to him is probably Justin Gorham. And Garcia is probably more athletic than Justin was. He's just really active. It's a load to block out, plays so hard. I just love that kid. Solomon Washington, kid out of New Orleans that comes in and changes the game with his intensity, his toughness, his activity. They've got a older team, very veteran team. Hayden Hefner, kid over from Beaumont, has had a great career there. He's playing his best basketball. So up and down their roster, Obaseki, who I think he had 21 points. Well, I know he had 21 points against Memphis coming off the bench. So you got a lot of guys that can hurt you. They're extremely, extremely well coached, very disciplined in their approach. By far the best offensive rebounding team that we've seen this year. I think the game starts against them when the ball hits the rim. You got to be able to keep them off the boards, and you've got to be able to know where those Taylor, Radford, Obaseki, all their guards. So they're a load, man. They're tough. By far the best team we've played this year. They're going to be a supreme test for us.
Hey, Chris, do you have a follow-up? You'd like to ask something else?
Yeah, I guess. I guess. Coach, you're saying that what Texas A&M and that offense rebounding, are they similar to how you and your staff emphasize rebounding offensively, crashing the board?
Well, they're the number one offensive rebounding team in the country. So I'd say they're better than us.
And what are your thoughts on facing them in this type of environment, showcase two teams, to do a double hitter?
I don't know how to answer that. I mean, it's good for the fans. It's great game for us. Hopefully it'll be a great game for them. Then the other doubleheader, two really good teams.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. We'll go to Manav Gupta from the Cougar, and then we'll go to Joseph Duarte after that. Go ahead, Manav.
Good morning, Coach. Damian and Emmanuel have been, kind of rotating in the starting lineup occasionally at times. Is there anything that, goes into that decision? And I guess, is that going to be, continuing throughout the year, or is that just early on?
No, there's nothing that really goes into that. I just going who I feel like. I feel like starting Emmanuel, start Emmanuel. Feel like starting Damian, feel like starting Damian. There's nothing really more to it. I've been feeling Emmanuel last couple of games. But anytime you're a new guy, Damian reminds me a little bit of Quentin when Quentin first got here. The light bulb hasn't come on yet, but it will. And when he does, he's going to take off. Same thing with Quentin. Quentin struggled. Jared struggled. But you can tell in practice that it's starting to come together for Damian. So we'll just keep trying to help him and get him comfortable and confident and let him go.
Thank you, Manav. We'll go to Joseph Duarte from the Chronicle. Joseph, please go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Kelvin.
Good morning, Joseph.
Kelvin, just wanted to ask, get your thoughts on what you thought of what Mercy Miller did the other night with the 68 points there for his high school team.
It's
It's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points. Mercy's a talented kid. Doesn't matter who you play against. I think the thing that jumped out to me about that is he only attempted 38 shots. Other guys get 68 points, have to take 50 shots to get them. But Mercy's not a selfish player at all. First time I watched him was Jim Hicks had a deal. I think it's called MI3. Is that the name of that building? I always thought the best thing about his tournaments was his hospitality room, actually. And the gumbo that his wife and mother make.
That's accurate, Coach.
And don't even get me started on those cakes and pies. That's just high level. I've seen a lot of good games in Jim Hicks deal over the years and a lot of good players, but none of them are as good as that hospitality room. And I'm preaching right now. I can hear all the fellas say, "Preach, Coach, preach." Well, that's what I'm doing.
Yes, sir.
What were we talking about? You got me off. I'm smelling that gumbo right now. What were we talking about? Mercy.
We were talking about Mercy Miller.
Yeah, Mercy's not as good as that gumbo either. First time I saw Mercy was at MI3. He made 7 consecutive threes and on the chance to make his 8th straight three. And I told him and his dad about this too, was that the kid was running at him. He could have easily got it off, but he moved it to the next kid, and that kid made a 3. And that's when I fell in love with Mercy. He's not a selfish player. He makes the right plays. He's serious about getting better. And I think that's eventually why he chose to come here. But you always got to factor in, somebody's inevitably is going to bring up the competition. Of course, it's not like they were playing the 87 Celtics, but they were still, that's pretty impressive. And I just love the kind of kid Mercy is. And I love how humble he is and how already a giver that he is. And I think that says a lot about his mom and dad and the way he was raised and his brothers and sisters. That's a very tight-knit family.
Thank you, Joseph. We'll go to Chancellor Johnson from KPRC. Chancellor, please go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Kelvin. I want to go back to what you were talking about with Damian. With his experience, with him being a senior and his kind of unique skill set, what can he add to this offense when that light bulb ultimately does come on, whether it's, this next game or just ultimately over the course of the season?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, but you see glimpses of it here and there. We have a name for, I guess if you look at him with the naked eye, they're clear out back downs, where he has the opportunity or the freedom to get into his back down game. You don't always have to throw somebody the ball in the post. They can get to it off the bounce too. But that's a good back down game. J1 has one. Fabian had one. Damian hasn't shown that he's a good shooter yet, but I know he is. But his ability to get to the free throw line, keeps you out of droughts. Like we had a long drought the other night at Xavier. I can't remember what it was, 5 or 6 minutes, something like. But the reason why is Damian got to the free throw line twice, but he missed all his free throws, and that's unusual. And I think that goes into him not being comfortable yet. But if we go a couple possessions where he doesn't touch the ball in the post, well, we try not to go many possessions without him touching the ball in the post. We try to get him the ball where he's comfortable, and he did a good job in the Xavier game. We got out of that possession what we wanted. He got to the free throw line, but he missed them. But that's coming. The good news about Damien, he's starting to practice better. The way we do things here takes some adjustments. For LJ, it was an easy adjustment. It's a little bit tougher adjustment for Damien. I think it was an easy adjustment for JoJo. And I think Coach Rich Flores over at Cy Falls High School had a lot to do with that. JoJo came from a tremendous high school program with a tremendous high school coach, as did Fabian at Atascocita High School with Coach Martinez. He had those guys that are coached at a high level in high school and come from winning programs. Those are the guys that have easy adjustments because they're taught to play winning basketball. And was one of the things I love about recruiting high school kids here in Houston. There's so many outstanding high school coaches that teach their kids the right way, and those are the kids that we benefit from.
Thank you, Chancellor. We'll go to Chris Baldwin with Paper City Houston. Chris, please go ahead.
Hey, Kelvin. How have you seen LJ get better defensively, and how much of being a better defensive player is technique, and how much is effort?
Well, it's all that. You can't have one without the other. Technique means you know what to do in a given coverage, and effort's why it works. You can go out there and give the greatest effort in the world and be terrible if you don't know what you're doing. But LJ's smart. He's a smart kid, and he has a high basketball IQ. And those two things often are not together. I know a lot of smart people have no common sense, and I know a lot of common sense people that are smart. They may not make 97 on their geometry tests, but they make 100 in life. And those are the people that should be running our country, actually. But LJ is just a joy to coach. And again, I give a lot of credit to Coach Drew and his staff over at Baylor. He comes from a winning culture. He's done that staff, and LJ's done something that we aspire to do, but we've never done it. So LJ came in here with a great mentality, but he also came in here with a mindset that he wanted to learn, he wanted to get better, and he has. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed coaching him. Now, sometimes, practice every single day. I think we've had 53 or 54 practices. I tend to be a little demanding on our best players and guys in leadership positions. I think there's a responsibility that you have to have in those positions. But I think it's, when you leave athletics and you go out in life, and none of them are going to make enough money where they don't have to work. They're going to have to work at some point in their life, and there's always life lessons that you have to learn, that you have to carry over. I can't tell you how much I thank my mother and father for teaching me the value of being on time, being a hard worker, being a good teammate, which means being a good fellow worker to the people around you. all those things are things that you learn and being able to use in your life. It's like winning and losing. You learn to lose. We're going to lose games this year, multiple games probably, and you have to learn how to react to losing, just like you have to learn to react to winning. Everything that happens to a young man in our program, I want him to be able to learn from it. That's something our staff takes pride in.
We'll go back to Joseph Duarte, please. Joseph, go ahead.
Kelvin, any update or how's J1's knee doing? And then also, did Ryan Elvin's lip look as bad as it? Is it as bad as it looked?
Yeah, well, it was. I saw the hit. It probably should have went to the monitor, but sometimes the score dictates the action. Kid popped him really good, but typical Ryan, he didn't react. I've had kids we'd had to pull the paddy wagon down the ramp to load them up into a stretcher and put them in the back of it if they get hit like that. Whereas a kid like Ryan didn't even know it. And he didn't know how to react to that blood on him because he wanted to play. I think Ryan knew if he said something about the blood that, there's a game rule that if you're bleeding, you have to come out and then go back in. And there's only, I don't know, a couple of minutes maybe. Ryan wanted to, and he's so respectful, he didn't want to put the blood on his jersey. I love that kid. I just love that kid. But no, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know if he got stitches. Knowing Ryan, he wiped it off and put it. They've got some adhesive stitches they can put on it where they glue it together. That's probably what happened to him. J1 hasn't practiced this week yet. His knee has swollen up on him, and we're just trying to just be very, very cautious with that knee. It's hard to practice 5 consecutive days with your team this time of year. We played Saturday, so Sunday was a scheduled day off because of the rule. And then today, we're not going to do a whole lot, do some individual work, go through some scout report stuff, get a ton of shots up. But probably the only thing we let J1 do today is shoot free throws, and then we'll see how he is tomorrow.
Kelvin, does that go back to anything in particular, or is that just something over time that he's been dealing with?
Yeah, it's over time. There's 2 or 3 times a year we have to go in there and drain it and get the fluid off of it. And then I think, well, I don't, when I say I think, obviously I know, we drained it, I think a week or so before Charleston. He was out of practice some in October with it. It just swells up. But those the wear and tear on their bodies. That's why, as coaches, you have to be smart this time of year. Because everybody's dealing with it. Every team in the country's got kids banged up, one thing or another. It's just the way it is.
We'll go back to Chris Baldwin. Chris, go ahead.
Kelvin, is it valuable to play, neutral site games like this, Toyota Center, considering, the tournaments to come and, these kind of environments?
Yeah. Well, I think these games are, like one of the Jordan Classics in Charlotte. I think Oklahoma and North Carolina are playing neutral court. The name of the tournament is what it is, but being able to play teams that are reluctant to play you home and home, sometimes they'll play you on a neutral site. And we've done that over the years. You guys know more about our neutral court games. You know, we played Oregon home and home. We played Virginia home and home. Who else have we played home and home? LSU home and home. Arkansas home and home. You know, we played a bunch of schools home and home, but there's a trend now going toward these neutral court games. I know we're going to play. I think we're going to play another game next year at the Toyota Center. Not sure who the opponent is, but it'll be somebody good, obviously. On a neutral court, and then most of the MTEs. You know, we played Towson State, University of Utah, Dayton, all on the neutral court. So they're good games. I mean, Texas A&M was picked top 2 or 3 in the SEC, and we're picked top 3 or 4 in the Big 12. So, and it'll be a good game regionally because Texas A&M has been a powerhouse with their athletic department for a number of years, and so is Houston. You know, Houston's been a power in football and basketball over the years, up and down like all schools. But I'm proud of our tradition here. I'm proud of what Coach David Williams did in golf. I'm proud of Coach Yeoman in football. I'm proud of Coach Lewis in basketball. I'm proud of Coach Tellez in track and field, and Carl and Leroy. We got so much to be proud of here with our athletic department, and with what we're doing now in basketball. We're not breaking new ground. We're just doing what other people have done before us, and but we're proud of what we're doing. But we're also proud to be part of a great athletic department.
Got time for 1 or 2 more questions. Manav, we'll go back to you for 1, please. Go ahead, Manav.
Coach, in terms of playing at, the Toyota Center, is that really an adjustment at all, playing in that kind of environment, or do you think that would be a factor, playing in that kind of
No. I mean, we've been in 5 or 6 NCAA tournaments. It's no different than playing at Memphis. No different than playing at Cincinnati. Those gyms are about the same size as that one. So no, we play in these arenas all the time.
Got time for 1 more question. We'll go back to Chris Baldwin, please. Chris, you'll have the last question. Go ahead.
Kelvin, how did the back thing with JoJo, did that affect him early, and how is he sort of?
Oh yeah, he's getting better. There was about a we have 2 of the best. I can't tell you how good John Houston is. John Houston's a stud, and so is Alan Bishop. They're a big part of this engine that we have running here. We couldn't do it without them. But John meets with me at 9 o'clock every morning. He calls me at night a lot. When he calls me at night, I don't answer because I know it's bad news. I said, I'd rather have it in text so I can read it 1 at a time than I can stop reading it. That's kind of a running joke with John and I. But he came to me and said, told me that JoJo's having some back issues. And so we held him out of contact. When kids are having any kind of injury or any kind of pain, we don't let them do contact drills. We just don't. Their health always comes first. But basketball's just like anything else. You can't prevent a sprained ankle. You can't prevent an injury that's going to happen. It's going to happen. But when it does happen, that's when you have to be smart. And these young men's health always comes first with me. And that's why John and I work hand in hand, because John tends to be conservative, and so do I. I don't mind a kid playing with pain, but I do not let him do anything with an injury. Then we have to ascertain really on, is it pain or is he injured? And JoJo back was more pain tolerance than it was a injury. But JoJo's not a complainer. If he says it's hurt, then it's hurt. So we held him out of contact for a while. And there was a stretch that I don't remember the games. It was well, I can't even remember our schedule now. I think it was after Charleston, whoever we played. There was a 3 or 4 game stretch there, 2 or 3 game maybe. But he's starting to get back full speed. I don't think he's there yet. He's still getting treatment before and after practice, but he's back to being in contact now. And when you always know when JoJo's on the court.